You're listening to French Moments, the stories behind the France you love.
And welcome to this first live stream of 2026. So thank you for joining me. And if everything goes okay, I will be posting a replay on Substack and other social networks later on. So I hope you can hear me okay. If it's not the case, just comment on the chat if you have trouble to hear me. So this for this first live stream of 2026, I wanted it to be a very friendly, low-key live stream about travel, trains, and the joy of exploring France. So we'll start with city breaks from Paris. Over the next 2 months, I'm going to feature city breaks from Paris with train journey less than 2 hours. So there will be 8 cities. I'll be presenting 8 cities with lots of information on what to see in the city, travel tips, and more. So the core idea of this live stream and of this series about city breaks from Paris is particularly good for people who are staying in Paris for a stay of 7 days and over. For people who are the first visit to Paris, and it's only for 3 days, maybe a city break is not a very good idea because there's so much to see in Paris. But actually, even if I have to spend 1 month in Paris without leaving the city, I'll be very, very happy. And there's so many things to see in Paris, to discover the landmarks, the museum, all the sightseeing, the shops and everything. So, but maybe for some people, when you stay more than a week in Paris, you want to go outside. You want to see more of France because, as you probably know, Paris is not the only thing you see in France. There are so many things to see there, and of course, if you don't want the stress of renting a car and driving through the countryside or rural France, then there is a good compromise: is to take the train to a city within 2 hours train journey from Paris. So that's an easy thing to do, and I'm going to explain why and to give you some tips for our first destination today. So it's easy to add a city break by train. You can do also a day trip. It's possible from Paris. Although I would recommend, especially for the cities I'm going to present to you, I would recommend 1 or 2 nights. And I'll explain you why. So a city break is a short escape from Paris. No car, train-based. It's a different rhythm and also a different atmosphere. So it adds contrast to your Paris stay in a very, very good way. So my choice for today is Strasbourg. So we say Strasbourg in French, and in English, I think you say Strasbourg with the pronunciation. So I'll probably jump from one pronunciation to the other of the city. But why Strasbourg? Well, the first choice is on purpose because it feels very different from Paris. I mean, it has a strong regional identity. And also it's a mixture of French and German culture. And you'll see half-timbered houses over there, canals, riverbanks, medieval streets. You immediately feel that you're somewhere else. And that's the good thing about a city break from Paris. You want to feel like there is something that you don't see in Paris. Lots of things to see in Paris, but not the things I'm going to show you in Strasbourg. And for me, being French, my typical idea of France or a French city is nothing like Strasbourg, to be honest. I've lived in the northeast of France and the east of France in the Alps as well. But when myself, I picture something French, a French city. I think of Paris, the cities of the Île-de-France, maybe the Loire Valley, the Dordogne, some cities in the Dordogne or this area of southwest France, but not so much about Alsace or the Savoy in the French Alps or the country towns of Provence, which sound, they're very Mediterranean in their feelings. So yeah, for me, it's this kind of French image of the image of a French city that I've got in mind. But Strasbourg, however, is really worth a visit, and I'll tell you why. So, how to get there? Uh, Train only. So your direct TGV from the Gare de l'Est in Paris will take you to the city center of Strasbourg in 1 hour and 45 minutes for the shortest journey. In average, maybe of 2 hours if you have stopped somewhere along the way. And you arrived right in the city center, which is great. And also you will take the TGV-S, so that's the high-speed train from the East high-speed train, the TGV Est, which the speed is amazing. It's 320 kilometers per hour. So that's approximately 200 miles per hour. So it's so fast. And I like to joke like 1 hour and 45 minutes on a very bad day for commuting from center of Paris to your home in the suburbs. 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's sometimes the time it takes to go back home on a very busy day or with peak hours. And maybe if you are from America, if you probably heard some stories of people who travel from somewhere in New York upstate to New York City to work, and definitely they would spend sometimes an hour and 45 minutes commuting. So for the same time, you end up in Strasbourg on the border with Germany. So let me pull up my notes. So how long? Yes, you can do a city break for 1 day in Strasbourg. It's possible, but I don't really advise it because, well, there's so much to see. You'll probably feel frustrated that you only had 1 day. So my recommendation is 2 nights, so you don't miss the best moments. So stay in a hotel in the city center. And from the railway station of Strasbourg, you have tram lines A, C, and D, and also connections in the station nearby called Homme de Fer for the other tram lines. So it's very convenient to take public transport in Strasbourg. And I'll give you more tips later on during the presentation. Sometimes people they ask me, is it better to take a hotel or an Airbnb? For such a short stay, 2 nights, I would rather prefer to take a hotel than an Airbnb. You just check in, you check out, and that's it. Yeah, bonjour Cindy, just saw your message. Bonjour Cindy. So then Strasbourg is also one of the official seats of the European Parliament. It means that when there are plenary sessions at the Parliament, it impacts the city. So usually they happen from Monday afternoon to Thursday evening. And during those plenary weeks, the city is much busier. The hotels fill quickly. It's hard to find a good restaurant, especially for evening. The prices rises. Public transport and taxis are under pressure. So it's very noticeable for visitors. And I would recommend that you checked on the European Parliament website for the plenary sessions. And so you avoid this time if possible. So all the tips that I'm giving you here, there will be many more. And I'm going to write down a Substack post for the paid subscribers on Wednesday. So you will receive all this information in written. So it will be easier because sometimes I speak with I tell names about Strasbourg places in French. And maybe my French accent it doesn't help as well. So you will have all in writing for Wednesday morning. So let's go to the city visit, the key areas to mention. So it's what you really need to see in Strasbourg. you have the historic old town that we call locally the Grande Île, the Great Islands. Why? Because it's surrounded by a river that we call Île, the Île River, or the river Île, like sick. So it's the river Île, and it's the river that flows from the south of Alsace to the north, and it joins the Rhine River north of Strasbourg. So this Strasbourg, the historic center, is within an island, and it's quite large. And this island, the historic old town, is UNESCO listed as a World Heritage Site. In there, you will find the Cathedral, which is a must-see. We'll talk about it later. And the Petite France district. And the Petite France district is very picturesque. And its name means Little France, obviously, but it has nothing French. I mean, it's really more Germanic than French. There is a story behind the name of La Petite France. It's on my it's on my website, so I'll make sure I have a link on the Wednesday post. Also, outside of the Grande Île, the Great Island, you have the German imperial district that we call the Neustadt. And an optional sightseeing is the European district. And a bonus idea that I'm going to give you is crossing the Rhine into Germany, which is possible and very, very easy to do. So let's get started with those 2 nights. So that's 3 days. Let's get started with day 1 when you arrive and your first impressions of Strasbourg. My recommendation is taking a train from Paris Gare de l'Est around 9:30-ish, 9:30 a.m. in the morning. So it means that you will arrive at Strasbourg around 11:30 a.m. This gives you ample time to reach your hotel, check in, put your belongings somewhere. And sometimes hotels, they don't have your room ready for 12 o'clock. So many of them you can leave your belongings in a safe place until your room is ready. So that's something you can do too. So go to the hotel first and then have lunch in the old town. I will be giving you restaurant recommendations on my Wednesday article as well. So keep it simple when you arrived. And in the afternoon, this is the moment to visit the Grande Île, the Great Islands. So maybe your hotel will be located there. So that would be very convenient. So you don't have to walk too much. So you start with the cathedral, if possible, the cathedral. So when you are, my recommendation is to go from Place Gutenberg, and you have this beautiful narrow street called Rue Mercière, and then you arrive at Place de la Cathédrale, where you see the west front, the west front of the Gothic Cathedral of Strasbourg, and it's a wow moment, really. It's amazing. I mean, especially if you're into Gothic art. You can go inside. It's free. You can wander at the organ, the rose window, the astronomical clock. There are some beautiful stained glass windows as well. And then another thing you can do, if you're fit enough, is to climb to the panoramic terrace. So it's 66 meters high. In feet, that would be 216 feet. You have to walk up 330 steps, no elevator or lifts. But from there, the view is amazing. You have the view over the whole town of Strasbourg, the European district in distance, the plain of Alsace, and on one side, the Vosges Mountains, and on the other side, the Black Forest Mountains in Germany, if the weather is clear enough. When you go down from the panoramic terrace, you can wander around the streets. There are a few streets that are worth looking at. Rue des Orfèvres, it's lined with boutique stores and very nice stores there. So Rue des Orfèvres. And you've got one of my favorite is Rue du Marocain, that leads to a square called Place du Marché au Cochon de Lait, which is very funny a funny name. It means, let me say in English, so it's the square, the market of the milk pigs. No, go figure out. And then you've got also the Grand Rue. The Grand Rue is nice as well. Have some stores over there. Now, when you finished around this area of the cathedral, walk towards the Petite France district. You really can't miss this neighborhood. It's a must do or a must see in Strasbourg. So you start from Place Benjamin 6, then you walk to Rue du Bain aux Plantes, where you have some very beautiful half-timbered houses from the Renaissance era. You find your way towards the Pont Couvert, the covered bridges. They were covered, so it was a real covered bridge in the Middle Ages, but today it's not covered anymore, but you still have some medieval towers. So it's very picturesque. And you can also continue your way to the Barrage Vauban. So that's the Vauban Dam. And you can climb to the top of the dam. And from there, you've got a very, very beautiful sight of Strasbourg with the Pont Couvert and the cathedral in the distance. So it looks a little bit like this. So the Barrage Vauban would be there. Then you've got the Pont Couvert, the Petite France, the cathedral, and then in the background, the plain of Alsace. So it's easy walking and it's perfect for first impression. And that's probably the most important things you need to see in Strasbourg. After that, you can extend your stay or maybe come back to Paris the following day. But as I said, I recommend 2 nights. So day 2. Day 2. Oh, actually, no, sorry, I forgot. Before day 2, we've got the end of the afternoon, late afternoon highlight. Forgot to mention that. It's a boat cruise on the Ile River with Batorama. I've done that many times. I know it looks like a bit touristy, but really it's worth it. You know, it's a bit like Paris when you do the cruise in Paris with the Bateau Mouche or the Vedette du Pont Neuf. You know that it's touristy, but it's so enjoyable. And after an afternoon of walking, morning, but to travel from Paris by train, the afternoon we will walk. You kind of like, you sit down in the cruise, and it's glass panel all over you, so you can see all the views from the river, and it's very relaxing and very very good. It's a good way to discover more of Strasbourg. There is 2. I think they offer 2 circuits or 2 tours, different tours, and I would recommend to take the green tour, which takes you all the way to the European district. And I mean, unless you're like me, you like current affairs, international relations, but I mean, you may not be interested in going to the European district during your stay in Strasbourg. So it's a good way to do the cruise because it gets you to this district, so you don't have to go back later on, even particularly if you're not really that interested about it. But it's with the cruise, it's a fun thing to see. You go by the European Parliament; it's quite massive. So that's something you can do. And the jetty is Place du Marché aux Poissons, south of the cathedral. And the tour will take you, it's the duration is 1 hour and 10 minutes, if I remember well. So very enjoyable. And the evening, you can have dinner in town. And if you fancy, I mean, you still have a lot of energy, a very small, a short evening stroll in the streets. That's it for day 1. So let's go to day 2. So before going to day 2, Joanne asked any chance you can provide captions. So what I will do is, as I said, I will put all of this in writing and send that to the paid subscribers on Substack. So you have all the names that I've described in French. We'll give you websites. All the travel tips that I'm giving you here will be on Substack for Wednesday morning. So day 2 in the morning, why not exploring the German imperial district that we call the Neustadt in German? So this district is just outside the Grand Ile. So you have to cross the River Ile. And it was built during the German era of Strasbourg between 1870 to 1918. It has wide avenues, monumental architecture, and it tells another story of Strasbourg, a story of power, identity, and ambition. It's a very different feel from the Petite France district, and it's a strong reminder of the complex history of Strasbourg being, German, then French, then German, then French. It's like ping pong, So yeah, so it's a very interesting place, and it's also UNESCO listed as a World Heritage. So you've got in Strasbourg, in fact, 2 UNESCO World Heritage sites: the Grand Ile, the historic Old Town, and the Neustadt. So you can do in the morning a walking tour. So it's 2 kilometers or 1.25 miles. You start at the Place de la République, and you walk along the Avenue de la Liberté, and you will reach the Pont Royal with a beautiful view of the St. Paul's Church. And you pass by the Palais de l'Université, then you cross the river again at Pont d'Alvernia, and you go back to your starting point at Place de la République via the Avenue de la Liberté. So it's only 2 kilometers long. It's not too long, and for a morning stroll, it's perfect. In the afternoon, you can choose different options. For example, option A would be shopping and wandering, if you're into shopping, or museums. So, for example, museums. This is very good if it's raining in Strasbourg on the second day. So you do the museums and the shopping. So, for example, museums, we have the Musée de l'Œuvre Notre-Dame. So that's the medieval and Renaissance artifacts. So it's the cathedral's museum, basically. Near the cathedral, there is the Palais Rohan, which includes 3 museums: the Fine Arts Museums, the reading my notes there, the Decorative Arts, and also the Archaeology Museum. You have the Musée Historique, the Historical Museum, the Alsatian Museum, and also the Contemporary Art Museum. For shopping, all the shopping streets, the main ones are located in the Old Town within the Grand Ile. So Place Kléber, which is maybe the main square of Strasbourg. Place Kléber, Rue des Francs-Bourgeois, Rue des Grandes Arcades, and also Grand Rue. So these are the main shopping streets. Another good thing to do is guided tours. I have checked online. There are a few guided tours that last 2 hours with locals. Some of them are the classic city walking tour with a local that they explain to you, that they go through the cathedral, the Petite France, and they explain to you the history and some very interesting facts. And I have also found a walking tour with tastings, 2 hours with boulangerie stop, Alsatian treats, and other stories. So I will put the links on my Wednesday post on Substack for you. Another option, and I want to stress on that one, is to cross the border to Germany, and that's very fun and easy to do. So just take the tram number 2 all the way to the Kehl Rathaus. This is the Kehl. Kehl is this German city on the other side of the Rhine. So Rathaus meaning town hall. And from there, you can reach the Jardin des Deux Rives. In German, pardon my German, is Garten der zwei Ufer. So the garden of the 2 shores. And there you have the Weißtannenturm. It's an observation tower. And when you climb on top of the tower, you have the view over the gardens, the River Rhine, Strasbourg at the distance, the Vosges Mountains, the Black Forest Mountains. It's a very great spot. And then you walk across the footbridge back to France over the Rhine. And because the Rhine is this natural border between France and Germany. So it's very symbolic. It's effortless, really, because the whole work is on flat lands, and it takes about 3 kilometers or 2 miles. And you return to the city center with tram D from the station Port du Rhin. Again, this will be put on my Wednesday post on Substack. And in the evening, dinner in Strasbourg. Wow, that's looks like a busy schedule, but it's actually not that busy. I mean, there are lots of moments where you can, you know, walk walk less and just take the time to pause. Day 3. So it's the gentle, I call it the gentle ending. So relaxed morning, last walk maybe, coffee stop, lunch in town if you want. The question is when to depart Strasbourg to go back to Paris for the end of your city break. You can go back to Paris, for example, at the end of the morning. But I would be very careful not to choose a train that leads you to Paris around 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. because you will be right in the peak hours. So maybe in that case, why not taking a train at around 5:30, even 6 p.m. if you want to extend your stay in Strasbourg, so that in that case you will arrive in Paris Gare de l'Est at 8 p.m. And if you need to take the metro or public transport to reach your hotel or your Airbnb or where you're staying in Paris, then you will avoid all the peak hours. This doesn't apply, obviously, if you travel on a Sunday. So here you are. That was a little presentation of things to see in Strasbourg, and I think it's a perfect first break. A first city break from Paris, because as I said, it really feels like you're somewhere else. And obviously, I will be giving you on my next Wednesday, on my Substack post on Wednesday, more information. I will give you links to my blog posts, and so you can see more information on tourist information, history. There are photos I've taken over there. So if you have questions, you can write down your questions now. I'll be more than happy to answer them if I can. And while you do that, you can, if you're not on Substack, you can find me on frenchmoments.substack.com. My website is frenchmoments.eu, and I post on Substack on Sunday for everyone, free and paid subscribers, and on Wednesday for paid subscribers. So you've got a little bit more insight about France. So I've been to Strasbourg many times. In fact, I lived in the region of Alsace for a long time. And when I lived in Germany during my childhood, I was not too far away from Strasbourg. So yeah, I think it's a very beautiful town, worth visiting. And now that they've got the high-speed train from Paris, less than 2 hours, 1 hour and 45 minutes. I mean, it's awesome. Okay, so let me take a look at the comments, see if you've got questions. Otherwise, I will leave it there. So, agree. Canal cruise was one of the best tours I took last June. Yeah, it's the cruise with Batorama is a great option. Yeah, I like it. I've got a one in French. Merci pour toutes vos suggestions que je reçois depuis de nombreuses années par mail. So thank you for your suggestion that I received by mail, that I have received by mail for many years. Yeah. And as I said, I will be posting everything that I've said. I will be posting it on Substack for Wednesday morning. Okay, so if you have any questions, you know where to find me. You can just comment or on my Substack post or send me an email. I'll be more than happy to help. So here you are. So this was a little presentation of Strasbourg, and I will next time do another live stream about another city break from Paris, less than 2 hours by train. All right. So thank you for joining. It was a pleasure to have all of you here. I recognize some names. So yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you. Really, really touches me for this very first live stream, the real live stream. And all right. So, well, see you very soon. À bientôt, les amis. Au revoir. À bientôt.